Hello and welcome back. We haven't done this for what feels like ages, like a normal, not on holiday kind of vlog. I'm about to set off. I'm literally about to get my bus in 10 minutes. I'm about to set off for a very exciting week. I'm about to spend a whole week working at a literary festival by the sea, which is incredibly fun. One of my all-time favourite authors, Janice Hallett, will be there on the Saturday. I literally can't wait. Hello, welcome. It is my day off after the festival. I go back to work tomorrow, but you must be thinking to yourself, why is random post-festival India this early on in the video? The reason is I have a fear that I'm going to look back on a lot of these clips and there's not much other than me just showing the books and there's not much explaining what's going on. So I am going to interject throughout this video to explain to you what is going on, basically. Okay, so first, and I apologize in advance if you hear any building work. For some reason at 9:41 we're doing, I can't even say that, it's a Monday, of course they can. Anyway, here we go. Day one, Tuesday, setup day. I have never done a setup for a festival before. I've always been somebody who swans in first proper day, and then every time the pack up stuff is kind of done by the time my last event is done. So I've never done a setup day. So I got to work 9 a.m. ready to go. Let's go. 9 a.m. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, if you will. By the time I got there, they'd basically done everything. I just had to collect a couple of extra books for our little pop-up bookstore, but all the books that were ordered for the specific events already in the van. Then we travel there, get in the little car, have a chin wag, unloaded all of that. Fucking hell. I've become a lot stronger. I think I've become a lot stronger since working at a bookstore because those boxes were heavy. And there were so many. I ended up putting up makeshift shelves, which was really fun, but heavy. Then I set up the tables and I set all of that up, put up the makeshift shelves, put the books on. It was longer, did all of that. That took a long time. They were like, oh, we should be done in about 6 hours. And I was like, sorry? 6 fucking hours? You're lying. 4 to 6 hours, you're telling me? They weren't wrong. And that was day one. Oh, and then in the evening, they did any sponsors or people who donated towards the festival, who are called festival friends, all the volunteers, they were invited to join for drinks and a little thank you so much for contributing, let's celebrate the start kind of thing. Okay, so day one done. Day one done. Yesterday was a crazy setup day. So all those clips you saw was just us setting up. We had to obviously bring all the boxes in. We take a lot of the stock to the individual venues. It doesn't all happen in that marquee. So we took a good chunk of the books off and then we took the rest. Well, I didn't, but some of the team members took the rest to the different venues because there's 2 other venues. Okay, the till is the most stressful bit because it just limits what we can and can't do. The till was working. We then had a power cut. The kitchen part of the marquee plugged in their deep fat fryers and the power went out and we were so worried that it had blown a fuse on the till and that we weren't going to be able to use it, so that was very stressful. And then they had the kind of sponsors evening, which could have done with some music, I'm not gonna lie to you, something for next year, lads. And we were able to grab some canapes. Thank you to the amazing team that gave us some canapes. Thank you. But today is the first official day. Day 2 is the official first day of the event. Now, I know every time I go to this festival that I'm given, the festival is set over multiple different locations, dotted around this small town, and I have the location that is the furthest away from everybody else. It's this lovely church. I've been there multiple times. I'm there all the time. I'm there. And in this case, I had 3 events on that day. So basically, I just get to sit in on really interesting talks, sell the books before the event, sit in on the event, and then sell the books at the end, help with the signing, pack everything up, take it back to the pop-up bookshop. So for day 1, well, day 2 for me, but day 1 for the festival. So day 1, we had Anne Seba. Anne Seba was talking about, and it was my favourite talk actually of the day. Anne Seba spoke about her book, The Women's Orchestra of Auschwitz, talking about the creation and the history of Auschwitz's only female orchestra and about some of the very important individuals of that orchestra.
I'm here for day 1. I'm prepared. This is what it's about. It's a history book. I just met the author. She seems really nice. These are free postcards to give out. Should be good. They're about to do a sound check. At this point, I just sit and wait for it to start.
Very, very harrowing for, what time was this? 12 p.m. One of the most emotional things of that was the fact that they play a piece of music that the main kind of leader of the orchestra, that she had played. It's the only recording of her music, and she was the only woman from the orchestra who did not survive Auschwitz. And they played her music, and that hits you like a gut punch. Like, it's already sad, and you know it's sad, and you know it's awful, but then to hear like audio evidence of someone's life and existence and their music, I was literally in the corner. Like, if anybody had turned to look at me, I'm like, But that was good. That was interesting. That was the most interesting talk of that day for me personally. Then I had Helen Scales' What the Wild Sea Can Be, which was all about conservation of our seas. How can we help stop climate change? How can we look after our oceans? How can we look after nature? Some really interesting questions were asked during that time.
Now on to the next nature-themed one. Should be good. I've heard good things. It's shortlisted for the non-fiction prize this year, so it should be good. I think we've done okay on the tickets, so we shall see how well we do on book sales. Nice music's playing. Hope it's copyright free.
And then my final event of the day was Helen Lederer's memoir, Not That I'm Bitter. I think that's what it's called, Not That I'm Bitter. My God, that woman, hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. That hour flew by listening to her talk just because she said so much and she got so many words said. I don't think anybody said as many words in the hour as she did. It was really interesting to learn a little bit about what it was like being a woman going up in the television industry and the comedy industry kind of in the 80s. It was really interesting. Got to see clips of her performances. She was incredibly lovely during the signing to me, to the team, to the guests. So good. Amazing. She was really funny. And there is an amazing edit of her signing where it's got the most hilarious music and the clips are going like oomps, 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 oomps. And you can just see me there doing the like card payments. So funny.
So we're on day 3. Day 2 officially of the festival. Day 3 for me. I don't know some of the events. I think I've got a travel food writing event about a woman that cycled across America and ate loads of food in America. I feel like that's what it is later today. And something about gardening, but also connecting books to gardening, which I think is going to be actually really interesting. Yeah, it was a really long day, like really long day yesterday. Literally got home, ate something, went to bed, long day. But today is going to be a little bit shorter, which means I get to go home and kind of decompress a little bit more. But yes, yesterday was really good and very entertaining. So I'm excited to see what today has to bring. My Northern Lights audiobook runs out today, so I'm just gonna have to read the book, which is a shame. I keep forgetting that I have audiobooks and then they run out, and obviously it's the Northern Lights, so it's so well sought, so everybody wants it.
Then we move on to day 2 of the festival, day 3 for me. During this, we're also going to have probably little pop-up things of things that I have forgotten about that happened during the week, because I'm only basing on what we've got events-wise. Then it was Sandra Lawrence. Now, Sandra Lawrence wrote a book called Literary Gardens, which was all about, so it's a book about gardening, but looking at gardens from different books. For example, The Sunken Garden from Agatha Christie's Halloween Party, The Secret Garden from The Secret Garden, all of this kind of stuff. Again, it was basically allowing us to appreciate the beauty of nature, the beauty of gardening. I found that I was really interested in gardening, and Sandra, don't look at my garden, I can see it right here. Disgusting stuff.
The creepy bugs are out. Ooh, look at that, Stuart, look at that.
Ugh.
And then by the end of the week, it's like full of spiders.
Do you know what?
You like shrieking.
No, I'm actually pretty good with spiders. Libby's awful with spiders.
Spiders don't bother me at all.
Spiders are actually okay.
Like if there was a nest of snakes in here, I'd be gone, long freaking gone. I can't deal with snakes. Paul Rudd is in the new Anaconda movie, and I'm just like, oh, I kind of want to watch it, but then I'm like, I don't like snakes.
No, I'm okay with spiders.
If I'm watching TV and snakes come on, I'm literally like, oh.
I think I prefer, I don't like the ones with the really long legs and the small body that like are really fast.
Yeah, the little fast ones.
I don't mind the ones that just like sit in the corners, because we go through a phase where we get those weird flying spiders.
Yeah.
And then we once had like a family of like 4 spiders that sat in the corner of our living room, and we never had flying spiders ever again because they had made cobwebs at the base of our door outside, so they all got caught there. So we feel like they're allowed to stay roam free.
Then there was my favourite talk of the day, Felicity Cloak's Peach Street to Lobster Lane.
So this one went really well. We were very happy with it. It was good. It was very interesting. This is the next one. It's about food writing and American travel writing. I'm looking forward to this one the most. Should be the most interesting.
This was a travel food book. It's about a woman who travels from San Francisco all the way to New York through cycling, trains and cars to try the food of America and figure out what is America's cuisine. She has done this before where she cycled across France to find out what the French cuisine was. She also cycled throughout the UK to find out what is Britain's ultimate breakfast. She does a lot of this. It was incredibly interesting. I find food interesting. I find travel interesting. So it was really interesting to, oh my God, say interesting so many times, but to hear about her experiences in America. She was also there during the height of the presidential campaign, when Trump was obviously on his way to win. Ugh. And yeah, incredibly interesting. I love hearing about the food. She read a piece about a hot dog eating competition, and that sounded gross, and I wanted to read it. So I did actually get a signed copy. I purchased 2 books at this festival. I always purchase around 1 or 2, and this time I got 2. So there we go, got it signed. It was really good, incredibly interesting, my favourite talk of the day. And then the final event of that day was Sam Dalrymple's Shattered Lands, which is a history of East Asia and kind of Southeast Asia through 5 partitions. And that, while Helen Ledger I think got the most amount of words in, Sam Dalrymple got the most amount of information that you can shove at someone for an hour. And I mean that in the most polite way ever. I do think it's so interesting to listen to someone who knows so much about a subject and can just reel off facts and reel off dates and people and experiences. Like, I'm sitting there listening to him, and where I'm positioned, you can't really see the stage. And especially with that one where it was fully booked up, there's no extra seats. So I just sat there, I felt like I was listening to my own podcast. But my God, that's so much information. And to just know that off the top of your head, incredible stuff. A chunky book. It was like 25 quid and it was like that big.
I've got you on a bottle. Hello, we are on day 4. It is Friday. I am exhausted. I've reached that point now. I know 2 of the events that I've got. I've got a historical non-fiction book and like a Rising Stars event. And that's all I know. That's all I know. I'm really close though to finishing Northern Lights. I have the audiobook on 2 times speed, which for some people is not that much at all, but for me it is. I'm on page 306, and I have a feeling because I have the audiobook for another 9 hours, I could do it. I could get a good chunk done, potentially even finish it today. That being said, I am going to bring back The Haunted Wood, which I brought on the first day, just in case I finish this. But yeah, no, very tired today. I'm feeling it a little bit. Oh my God, this is not going to fit my book sleeve. I'm just feeling it today. Feeling the exhaustion of the long days.
For the Friday, we started off bright and early, 10 a.m. event with Sarah Dunant, who wrote I can't remember, but she's written loads of books, and this was about a very specific woman in Renaissance history. She was like the woman with the biggest Renaissance art collection. The book's called The Marchesa. Can't remember what the name of the lady is. It's Isabella or Elizabeth or something. But it was definitely the talk where I felt, wow, you have convinced me to read this book. And again, I was just there listening to someone who clearly knows this area of history so very well, who clearly knows her writing and the characters that she wanted to portray very well. And I was sitting there, I was like, babe, I'm going to buy the book. Ultimately, I didn't. Those books got snapped up straight away. It was one of the most well-received books of that, most well-received books of that day. So good. And then probably my favourite talk also of the day, because there were only two, because the next one I did on Friday was Joanna Miller and Jessica Stanley. They were chosen. So the festival was supported heavily by Hilary Mantel, and after Hilary Mantel's passing, they had an event called the Hilary Mantel Emerging Writers Panel or event, and these were the two. So Jessica Stanley wrote Consider Yourself Kissed, which is a contemporary slice of life kind of book about the long-term relationship between these two couples. It's set over like 10 years of their relationship. And Joanna Miller's The Eight, which explores the first women to attend Oxford with the men. And it's called The Eights.
It's been so busy today, there has been no time to film anything, but the next talk is these two. Yay!
And yeah, that was really interesting. I think it's always really interesting when two authors sit next to each other and chat to each other. Love stuff like that. I think I get a lot from hearing like two different authors' perspectives. That was really interesting.
Oh god, my hair looks awful. We'll just have to deal with it. It's gonna rain, so But we are on the 5th day. We have today and one more day and then we're done. It's really weird because the build-up is so long and then you set it up. Oh my god, I just can't get over how bad my hair looks. We'll just have to deal with it. And then you set it up and the next minute you blink and it's nearly over. And that's a shame. Today is the day I've been most looking forward to because Janice Hallett, one of my all-time favourite crime authors, is coming today. So I'm going to get all of my books signed. I say all of them. In hindsight, I think I gave them all to my mum and she never gave them back. And that's not me being disrespectful, mum. So if you see this, I'm sorry. I think it's just a matter of fact. No, I gave that to my sister and she read it and it's still at her house.
Moving on to Saturday. Now, Saturday was the big day. We had a lot of events on the very first day and we had a lot of events on the Saturday. And the first event we did, which was by far probably my favourite talk. Oh, that's not a lie. Saturday did have my favourite talk, but it was out of my most successful of the events. And that was Horatio Clare's We Came by the Sea, which is a book by journalist Horatio Clare, who after seeing the sensationalization of the asylum seekers and the refugees on the boats arriving in Dover, he decided to go to Dover himself and really look at the issue. Is Dover crumbling under this migrant issue? What is our government doing? All of this. And it was a really, really uplifting conversation. It was really lovely to be in that room of people who just care about other human beings and want to know what it is that they can do, what it is they can do to support people, to support their community. I sold out of those books. I just sent people back up to our pop-up bookshop because we had a little couple spare just in case anybody wanted to run up to the pop-up bookshop. I literally sat there with my little card machine next to this lovely guy and was like, okay, what do I do now? And I had 3 people looking at me and I had 4 books left and they were having this big debate and I was like, are you guys okay? And they were like, oh, I'm really sorry. I want 2 books. They obviously want a book each, but that's me being selfish. We're kind of talking about it. And I went, besties, I have 4 books here. So 2 for you and 1 each for you. Sold out, incredibly successful. Horatio Clare was really lovely, and it was just really nice to be in a room of kind-hearted, well-meaning people who just want to support their fellow humans.
Loud, movement in the air and movement in the crowd.
Blow, boys, bully boys, blow. Blow, boys, and blow forever. Blow, boys, blow. Why blow me down that Congo River? Blow, my bully boys, blow.
After that, I ran because it was was such a successful signing. Signings would tend to be anywhere between 45 minutes to half an hour. It was 45 minutes, and I was attending the Janice Hallett and Orlando Murren events, which I was attending just as a guest. It was very kind that they allowed me to attend this, because if any of you don't already know, Janice Hallett is one of my all-time favourite fucking authors. So I was running up there, I had all my important items in my bag, and I was running up, and I gave it to my team, and then I ran in, and I sat at the back, I was sweaty, and I listened to an amazing conversation on crime writing with Orlando Murren. He's the author of the Paul Delamere murder mystery series, and Janice Hallett has written so many incredible books, and I got literally all those books signed. This is one bag, plus these as well. So I actually owned all of these. So if all of you are like, India, that's a lot of books, I just took my stuff from home. I just took it from home. This is the one that Janice was specifically talking about, the killer question. I ended up getting two. I got one for myself. And then I got one for my colleague, John. And I got no videos of me talking to either of them, but my good friend Emily, who was attending that day to help us out, she took some very funny photos of me talking to them and getting their book signed. And yeah, it was really, really good. But those were the two books I bought, a travel book and, well, technically three, because I bought 2 copies of The Killer Question. But yeah, that was really good. That was a very surreal experience to sit in front of someone and be like, wow, I'm really obsessed and in love with your books, and you're a real person, and we're having a real conversation. And trying not to come across obsessive. You know, I'm just like, yeah, I really love your books. This is literally it. I was stood there. She was incredibly lovely, incredibly welcoming. And I spoke to Janice. I was like, yeah, I'm just a really, really big fan of your books. Hence the ginormous stack I'm making you sign. Sorry about that. And inside, I'm like, I love you and your work. Your brain's so cool. But I was really trying to keep it cool. So I was just like, but then after that, I had to run back to my location for the Rachel Joyce and Harriet Evans talk. I'm so sorry about these sounds. And that was really good. I've actually met Rachel Joyce very briefly. She did an event at our bookstore for, can't remember at the time. Oh, it was her Maureen Fry book. Really, really, again, really, really interesting talk. Really interesting look at characters and at place and setting. And yeah, again, it's 2 authors. It was really good. And it was really, really fun. And then finally, my last event of the day was Giles Milton. So at these events, there's always a kind of World War I, World War II kind of talk. So this one was about Giles Milton's book, The Stalin Affair. It's not really my area of interest specifically, but I do think the way he told the story was really good. And then I found out about a bisexual icon spy. I was like, yes. But no, that was actually a really interesting talk, and I do think he made something which maybe for me personally wouldn't have been the most interesting topic. I was incredibly invested. I was listening in. I like my little history podcast. Like this. And that was Saturday. And Saturday was done, and I ran back up with my stuff, and we went home.
I was going to say, I feel bad because you're doing everything and I'm just sat here.
Well, I'll sit down, you do the rest then.
Yeah, okay, I'll do it.
So, right, India, do you want to just all the paperbacks and the 6 weeks by sea, do you want to just whack those in totes?
Yeah.
And they'll go next.
Bro.
And then finally, we had Sunday. This was yesterday. This was the pack-up day. I had one event for that one. So the church that I was in doesn't do any events on a Sunday. Some other churches will just not do any events in the morning. This church is like a no-go, no events on a Sunday. So I was in a different hall, and I sat in the little foyer of the hall to sign Tiggy Walker's book, Sell Tiggy Walker's book, she was the wife of a very, very popular Radio 2 DJ, and he died New Year's Eve last year, very close to my grandma's death. So when people were very kindly going, oh, do you want to sit in? I was like, no, that's going to hit too close to home. But she was an incredibly lovely person. I ended up having to look after the chair's dog.
Currently on dog duty. Because the dogs aren't allowed in the public hall and the dog is not happy. Hester, it's okay.
I feel like a bad person. I feel like so bad.
Rachel Joyce, the chair, who obviously I've mentioned already, her husband brought in the dog, but there's certain restrictions with dogs unless they're assistance dogs. So I was like, I'll look after the dog. I had that dog for 15 minutes. That dog was not happy. The dog started barking and I started panicking. But it was a cute dog. And yes, and that was really good. And that was the final event. But as I was sitting in that event, my boss is packing up the bookshop. the pop-up bookshop, the marquee where we were based, closed at 4. The event started at 4. And then I get a text half an hour later going, oh yeah, everything's done. And I was like, what? How is everything done? How is everything done? And he was like, yeah, I just cracked on. That's putting all the books back in boxes. That's dismantling the shelves. It took 3 of us to do the day of putting it up. I was like, how the hell have you done that? But he was determined. And we were like, cool, we're going to be out here in no time. I pack up, I take my little stuff up, and then my boss goes, Candy's just had to run up. They're about to sell out of the other book. We're panicking. And I was like, 2 hours later, we finally set off. The other event, which was Robin Ince's Weirdly Normal and Normally Weird, which is all about ADHD and neurodiversity, was so well received, which is so good to know that people are trying to, learn more about that and be more informed. Every single person in that queue, it took an hour. It was so good. Every single person in that queue was obviously talking about their own personal experiences, which is so important and so incredibly vital, that Stuart ended up going down just to make sure that my other team members were okay. And I was just stood there looking after the safe and the till and all of this, like, oh, what do I do? What do I do while I wait? And yeah, so there's Stuart thinking I've packed up early. People love having meaningful conversations, and who am I to say don't do that? But 2 hours later, we'd packed all the furniture, all the books. It was less books to take, which is good, because thankfully we had a lot of books that were gone. And we went back, we packed everything up, took everything back to the store, and then I came home. I just enjoy it every time. The team at the festival are incredible. The customers and the ticket holders are so incredibly nice. The authors are incredibly nice. It's one of the things that I most enjoy about from my year is attending this literary festival. And yeah, it was so much fun. And I got to meet one of my all-time favorite authors, which I didn't expect. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. It's a little bit different from what I normally do. Please like and subscribe and all of that fun stuff. I don't think I'll have as interesting of a vlog as this literary festival one, but please, stay tuned.